globally recognized and industry-endorsed evidence of mastering technical skills. They demonstrate a willingness to embrace new technologies and simplify talent identification.
We live in a world where we don't have a 3-year cycle product release. We have a 3-hour cycle product release. We have to keep up with that. The pace of change is phenomenal. And yeah, training, certification is definitely going to change around that arena.
Aligned to job roles that meet today's and future industry and market needs, Microsoft certifications validate skills and capabilities required to be successful.
If I get hired in a new role, if I get promoted, if I get transferred somewhere else, they can look at the certification without having to do an in-depth study of me, and they can say, okay, this person knows this, and this.
I think that certifications help me personally know and give me confidence that I do know what I'm talking about, and it shows the community and my boss that, you know, I've got that qualification as well.
According to research, 67% of tech professionals say certifications build confidence. 41% are happier with their jobs, and 35% say certifications made them more excited and optimistic about their career.
It allows you to evaluate a person and make a determination around the fact that they are able to learn, that they can do things that allow them to perform a particular role, and that role requires a certain skill, and that certification is a demonstration of that skill.
For an employee to come in with a certification shows that they have drive and they have initiative. We want people who want to better themselves because they'll take the job, they'll learn, they'll push, they'll disrupt, hopefully they'll help us innovate, and at the end, that's what we want.
Stay ahead, get hired, and receive the recognition you deserve.
Welcome to Journey to the Cloud certifications. Dan, I think, to go haywire.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, Dan. Welcome all to Journey to the Cloud certification specials. We are joined by Christian Vegra from Microsoft. Christian, welcome to the event. How are you keeping?
Thanks, Matthew. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a million for joining us, Christian. Dan, I think that's just after going a bit haywire. Are you?
Let's see if we can send it live here.
Yeah, apologies about this now, Christian.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So Christian, do you want to send? Can we send Christian live there then?
Sure.
So welcome, Christian, to the certification special this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Okay, all right. Dan, do you want to just share Christian's screen there, please?
Sure.
And we'll get started. Okay.
There we go. And sending live.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Thanks a million, Christian, for joining us. Apologies about the delay there. So tonight's special is about certifications and favorites. So once again, Christian, we're delighted to have you here. Thanks for joining us all the way from Microsoft. The stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Matthew, for the opportunity. So yeah, I'm always invested in certification. Definitely is a great way to make progress in your career and definitely learn new things. So yeah, definitely. I think that today the idea was to talk a little bit about my favorite certifications. And actually, I picked up 3. It was difficult just to pick one. So actually, I will talk a little bit about 3 different certifications that I consider my favorite ones. So I'm trying. Thanks for the opportunity. And just a quick intro about myself for those of you that maybe have not interacted in the past with. So my name is Christian Vergara. I currently work for Microsoft as a senior technical architect. So I work at the Microsoft Technology Center here in Dallas. So I help customers in different engagements around envisioning, architectural design sessions. So definitely show them. I got a chance to play with cool technology and show them what's possible on the cloud. So that's my current role. But my previous role, I used to be a technical trainer for Microsoft. So basically, I was delivering Microsoft official courses to customers. And definitely, I always think that a great way to learn is by teaching. So I've been a Microsoft certified trainer since 2011. So definitely is a great way to keep up to date with everything that's changing so fast nowadays. So the cloud, especially, every week is changing and new things are coming and new features and new services. So it's a great definitely to keep up to date with that fast evolving pace that we have nowadays. So I'm happy to connect with all of you. So that link that I have there, that QR code will take you to my LinkedIn profile. So happy to connect with all of you. Just briefly in terms of my experience, it's been more than 15 years in the IT field. I actually had a brief start on the open source space. My first job was actually configuring Linux servers and checkpoint firewalls. After that, I started working for several Microsoft partners, different roles. I guess definitely the rest is history. So the last 5 years I've worked with Microsoft in different roles. And as I said, definitely I'm a huge fan of technical certifications. So those are my credentials and newer certifications, so different levels that I have there. So definitely I will talk a little bit about 3 of those that I consider my favorite certifications. And definitely for those of you that may be not familiar with those black circles you see there on the right, what's that? Basically, that's something that's called OpenHack. So it's something that is more like a hands-on experience, challenge-based, but also is a great way to learn. If you're definitely more hands-on oriented, definitely highly recommended. Take a look at the OpenHacks that they have available. So, but that's it. Let's take a closer look to the certifications. As I said, was difficult for me to pick just one. So let's start with the first one I selected. My first certification. This is still fresh. It's definitely a brand new one. It's basically the Windows Server Hybrid Administrator. So actually for this one, you need to pass 2 different exams. You need to pass 800 and 801. And it's all about definitely what's about in the hybrid world. And I know a lot of customers were actually asking for this because it's been a while since we actually had the certification around Windows Server. So definitely the last 8-9 years, all the certifications were about Microsoft 365 and Azure. So not a lot of certifications around Windows Server. So definitely there were a lot of expectations about this one. And finally was released in March this year. And it's fairly interesting because actually you get the chance to learn what's new in Windows Server, but most importantly, how to integrate with Azure. So things like Azure automation accounts, update management solutions. There's something called Azure Arc, highly interesting topic. So basically, it's about all those different topics, how to leverage what's new in Windows Server, and obviously integrate it with the cloud in Azure. So definitely that's what's on this certification. So always try to definitely get those exams while they're in beta. So actually took both exams when they're still in beta. And it's quite challenging because at that point of time, there's not a lot of material. The course is not yet released. So basically, it's just about basically what you can find there on the Microsoft official documentation, just playing with technology. And I was able actually to pass both exams and got the certification. So definitely, at some point of time, I like this one because I'll say it's been a while since we have those Windows Server certifications. And back in the days, I actually used to teach those courses around Windows Server 2003, and some cases like how to configure DNS, DHCP server. So at some point of time, you can relate actually to those courses back in the day. So definitely when you configure and play with Windows Server. So definitely, I like this a lot. Definitely is basically how you can still leverage that knowledge for the previous versions of Windows Server and just concentrate on what's new. So definitely that's the first one that I selected. So I know they will have some Q&A section at the end, but before I continue with the next certification that's selected from the list, let me pause for a second here to see if we have any questions or comments before I proceed with the next one.
Yeah, that's great, Christian. Absolutely. Let's see if we have any Q&A. Henry, can you please let us know if anything comes through there?
I've had one question from a Grace just here, and it's, oh, hang on just 2 seconds. still getting used to this myself just here. It's what would you suggest for someone new to technology? That's the question just there. So whether they're referring to certification specifically, if they're an entrant level individual, it's not particularly clear. But Christian, give it a bash. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, it's a good one. So yeah, definitely someone maybe new to technology or maybe new to the cloud overall. Definitely, in some cases, I met customers that are afraid definitely to go to the cloud. So I know definitely a lot of IT folks are afraid that, okay, I'm gonna lose my job because if I go to the cloud, I no longer have a server to manage or something like that. And it's not really like that. So in the cloud, we still need a system administrator, we still need a network operator. So still we need all those roles. Basically, you just need to learn how to do your job, but on the cloud. So still need to configure routing and connectivity and all those things. So just definitely, but overall, definitely the first step. So definitely overall, if you're new to technology or new to the cloud, I would recommend definitely the fundamentals. Definitely that's a great first step. And even if, as I said, if you have a background in the IT field or not, definitely the fundamentals is a great way to start. In the case of Azure, of course, I would recommend the AC900. So AC900 is definitely just kind of like foundational aspects about what's the cloud, type of clouds, what kind of services, models we have in the cloud. So actually, it's not necessarily for IT people. In some cases, I've seen actually some folks coming from the business side of things that actually take that class and can benefit from that. So it's definitely a great way to start. So definitely take a look at the AC900 specifically for Azure. And for all the different verticals that I have in Microsoft, there's also a different fundamentals. So definitely depending what's your interest, but always a good start is the AC900. From there, maybe you can take MS900 for Office 365. Then you can take maybe if you're interested in Dynamics. There's also a Dynamics 900 exam and so on. So, but always AC900 is a great way to start. I know that back in the days we used to have those Microsoft certified associates, but I think those are no longer available. So I would definitely highly recommend take a look at the AC900. That's definitely the way I would recommend to start that journey on the cloud. Any other thoughts from the audience, maybe Dan or Matthew? Any other maybe recommendations or maybe you have on that term?
Yeah, I have a quick question, Christian.
Sure.
The MTA certifications have retired now, so I suppose you would have had what networking, security, cloud, and server in that. What are the equivalents for the fundamentals in those exams in the role base?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have definitely those available. What I would recommend in that case is definitely first, there's great content on Microsoft Learn. So go to Microsoft Learn. Definitely there are some foundational aspects that you can take a look at. And after that, from a certification standpoint, always the next step is always a good idea to take a 104, the admin course. So definitely that's also high level actually what you can do, all the different aspects in Azure, storage, security, of course, a huge part of managing VMs, containers, all those different things. And specifically, definitely, if you look at something like networking, we have also brand new certifications for that. So we have AC700, that's for the network administrator. So definitely that's a deep dive. So definitely always recommend to go 104. If you're interested in networking, definitely do the 700. So it's all about definitely deep dive, virtual network, connectivity, express route, routing tables, all those different networking aspects in a definitely deep level. That definitely would be a good patch if you like to look in something around networking.
Amazing. Thanks, Christian. Anybody else? Does our moderator want to ask any more questions?
I don't see any other questions from people in the audience at the moment. As somebody that has done the fundamental certifications, or most of them, where would the next step for the associate level be if you've got all of the fundamentals and you kind of like the security side of things with maybe a bit of Azure thrown into the mix as well?
That's a good one. Yeah, I will definitely also highly encourage 104 as the next step after the fundamentals. And then for security, we have 500. So 500 is the way is definitely for the security engineer. Is all about definitely specifics in security, managing things like secret management, key vault, encryption, a little bit also of endpoint. There you go. So definitely that has worked. So it's all about definitely now Defender for Cloud, all about security, great recommendation. So definitely the path in case security, I would recommend 900, 104, and 500. Yeah, nice book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, that sounds good. I'll keep an eye out on the Q&A side of things, but if you want to continue, go ahead. I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Just one question from my side. In your whole list of certification, I saw that you have networking, you have infrastructure, you have DevOps, but I didn't see you have a certification on data.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's not definitely kind of my area of expertise.
Okay.
I know definitely. And basically, when I was teaching all the AC courses, but definitely DP is something that maybe at a high level I know a little bit. For example, what's the purpose of a data pipeline? How maybe use Synapse of data lake. I know definitely kind of principles, but definitely is not something that I have some deep knowledge. Maybe we'll see someday. Maybe there's something maybe I actually can expand my comfort zone and maybe gain some knowledge and expertise in that area. But yeah, definitely I don't have any DP certification at the moment. Yeah.
Because two areas which are really in boom in Microsoft and everybody which is demanding is the DevOps side, and another is the data side. Orchestrating the data and then transforming the data and then throwing it in Power BI for more visualization and those kind of an architecture like analysis services, ADF, Databricks, and those kind of architecture. That's why I was very curious that you have literally learned a lot. I see it from the list of certification which you have. I was very curious enough to just to ask because most of the architects which I see in Microsoft profile, they go with data and AI. So I was just curious.
Yeah, no, definitely. For in my case, I only got that what's the AI 102, definitely the AI engineer. That's the only one that I have in that space, but definitely not much about DP. And I think also the way how we organize typically internal Microsoft, we have all those different areas. So typically, for example, you will see architects for app innovation, or you see architects for security, you will see architects for, in the case category, I'm using in apps and infra. And the other one definitely have, as you definitely mentioned, we have architects that are more focused in data and AI. So definitely that's all they do. So yeah, definitely more background is more kind of the infra side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And my second question would be, when typically we all come from infrastructure background, so definitely 104 really helps because it gives you a complete overview of Azure services, which is typically related to infrastructure. And then after that, you can select your domain. Either you want to go for DevOps, you go for 204 and then followed by 400. If you want to go by security, you can go by 500, but 104 always remains the base. And then, if you want to learn core networking, it is 700. But the thing is that, infrastructure is basically based on the core infrastructure, and then you have the networking component, and then you have the storage component. And storage can be blob storage, it can be Postgres, it can be database, or it can be any layer, which can store data, right? It doesn't have, I mean, it can be blob, it can be flat files, anything. The thing is that a certification for storage would be very, very beneficial, I feel like.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a valid point. Yeah.
Because then you will cover AZ104, and then you cover the networking 700, you cover the database. Now the foundation is complete. And then on the top, the cherry on the top is that, you can then select the path. Should I go for DevOps or should I go for security or should I go for data and AI? So I feel in that way.
Yeah, that's a totally valid point of view.
Yeah, Random, just a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
With the DevOps, you got continuous integration and CI, CD and CI, I think, is the part. Is it continue coding, or when do you determine to change the continuous integration? I say Iran is
Mhm.
probably the best fella to answer that.
So
That's a good one.
is it a question to me or?
Yeah, question. You're the
Okay.
DevOps man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So DevOps is a very generic thing, but DevOps can be then broken into 5 pillars, I think. One is you can do infra as a code, so that is also DevOps. Then you can also play with data where you are loading the data using ADF, and then you're transforming the data using Databricks. So that is also a pipeline which you can build. Then you can deploy your C# code or ASP or .NET code in app services. So that is also DevOps. And then you have another layer that you want to build the database schema. You want to create tables using DACPAC or SQL CMD commands. That is also DevOps. So when you say DevOps, it's a generic word, but DevOps can be done in database. DevOps can be done on data, orchestration of the data. DevOps can be done on infrastructure, and DevOps can be done on the application side. So that is how I define CI/CD. CI is nothing like you're pushing the code, you're committing the code in any of the Git, and then once you commit, you have your pipeline ready, which gets triggered because you commit something in your main branch, and then it starts the release cycle. So that is CI, continuous integration and continuous deployment. That is how it's all about.
Very good.
I have a question for you, Christian. I don't know if you've done it. Have you done the DevOps expert exam?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually was my next actually favorite certification on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm after jumping the gun a bit, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's interesting. So I having completed 2 of the expert certifications now. DevOps expert is the next one on my list. And my question is, realistic time frame to attain DevOps the expert certification. Should there be prerequisites that you like? I mean, I know AZ 104 is always a prerequisite in a lot of the exams. Obviously, I've done that, but is there anything on any other exam that would help with DevOps prior to the expert one? Even though like I've done the prerequisites, are there other exams in that list that might help me better understand DevOps more? I suppose it's kind of both to you and Aaron, really. Both of you might have an answer on that, so I'm asking both of you. We'll start with you first.
Question. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, as you can see, actually, for in terms of certifications, we don't have many actually that have those prerequisites. The only one actually that has those 2 exams is definitely the one I previously talked, the 800, 801. But this one actually has a prerequisite in terms of my previous exam. So definitely, as you described, you can either actually choose either 104, the admin exam, or 204, the developer exam. So it's one of those that actually will be the prerequisite. And definitely, depending on your background, I guess it is definitely you're more coming from the impact background. Definitely, you maybe do 104 and they do 400. If you're coming more from a dev background, you definitely will do 204 and then do 400. But actually, what I would recommend is actually what I did. I actually took both exams. I took 104 and 204 because definitely DevOps. Yes, definitely Mitra greatly explained. There's a couple of things. Definitely, DevOps is not just about development of applications. So definitely, same principle can be applied to many things. It's all about definitely automating things and bringing value back to the business. So definitely would recommend actually taking both because you will see actually on the exam, you have actually questions not just about infrastructure, but also have questions about some development things. So definitely need to know how to, for example, a branch strategy in Git and all those different things that are more common by a developer background. You definitely need to be familiar for this. And I actually choose this certification as one of my favorites because actually it's one of the ones that I learn a lot. I come from that infra background, so definitely learn a lot, definitely more from that dev side of things, and was definitely very insightful because after that you definitely get a chance to understand also the other point of view because definitely that DevOps is all about definitely the process that we use to build software, and definitely is moving away from that basically old model in which basically you work in silos, in which you have developers that basically very just write code. On the other end, you have operations or IT that basically just manage the production environment. So what typically happens, okay, in that model, those basically teams don't talk each other. So if something goes wrong in production, is your thing. You need to fix these IT developers. Don't touch that. So it's about definitely how we can collaborate together more as a team, and definitely that's also part of the learnings that I definitely gained when I prepared for this one. So fairly interesting, and actually many years ago, before I actually joined Microsoft, I actually I was interviewed at a competitor, and actually they asked me a lot of DevOps questions, and that for me was like all new, like things like, hey, what's a canary release and all different things. I said, yeah, that definitely are a lot of developer questions. So why did ask me for this? But it actually turns out it's more about DevOps. So definitely can be very beneficial to learn and understand those things. So very interesting one. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually really good. And I suppose just Arndam, from a point of view of DevOps, what would your advice be for anyone studying the expert level exam? Like, what would you expect to see in an exam like that as as an expert?
As Christian rightly mentioned, anybody who is coming from an infrastructure background, and it's very easy to correlate 104. But and with 104, you are actually meeting the prerequisite, and then you can jump to 400. But my recommendation would be like you do a AZ204, which is developer associate. Why? Because it brings the infrastructure guy from their comfort zone to a very uncomfortable zone, because we don't know the version controlling. We don't know the release pipelines. We don't understand because that is not our core part. Our core part is to deploy the server and walk out. We don't care after that how the application guys are running on the top of the infrastructure. We don't care because we are the infra guys. We only have the base infrastructure. 204 is a very good examination where you are actually learning Git, where you're actually learning the whole concept of CI/CD, how it is being used. Also with 204, I actually watched a lot of the videos of Scott Hanselman. So he has all those Git basics, real-time good things, all those things, which was, told in the past, but we never cared. We thought that, okay, why we are going to use it. But those videos actually really helped us. He has really good things. The best part is that in the Azure DevOps, you not only have repos, which is the version control, but you also have boards. So you have to also understand that how you're going to create a Kanban board, how you're going to manage it, how you're going to add fields, how you're going to associate a work item to a pull request. All those kind of things are very essentials, and AZ204 does a wonderful job. Once you do 204, 50% or 60% of your task is already done for 400. Okay, so you have to just have to continue the rest 30 or 40%.
So based on your advice, both yours and Christian's, yes, although obviously the Azure administrator is a prerequisite, it's still recommended to do the 204 because it gives you the exposure to those GitHub actions, the pipelines, yes, the coding side of it. So that it's recommended just for anyone watching if you're looking at doing the DevOps expert. Thank you very much, Arndam and Christian. That was really insightful. I'll give back over to the moderator there.
Yep, so we've got one question from Phil, and he says, hey Christian, what was your journey to Microsoft as a full-time employee like? Your first role, how did you apply, what was involved in that process, so on and so forth?
Interesting. Yeah, good question. So yeah, so as I said, actually, like before joining Microsoft, I used to work for several partners. So definitely one good thing is actually when you're in that ecosystem with the partners, you actually get to know employees at Microsoft and get to know them. And actually one thing that can definitely help you to definitely, if you definitely would like to look at career in Microsoft, is actually, someone at Microsoft, ask for an endorsement. So if the person actually, there's an internal process that we can follow Microsoft, and the person actually can endorse you. So actually, what happened when I applied first Microsoft, one former colleague that we used to work together as a partner, actually he left and went to Microsoft. So I knew he was working there, and I know him very, very closely. So actually, I saw the role. My first job was as a cloud solution architect. So I saw the job. Then I reached out to my friend and said, you know what, I found this job, I'm interested. And he said, yeah, no, the problem, send me your resume. And he actually endorsed me for that position. So actually, I think that also that really helped. So actually that once I was endorsed, I just followed through the traditional process, I guess kind of like standard stuff. I had like initial interview. After that, I actually get to meet some of the cloud solution architects. So I think I have a couple of additional 3 rounds of interviews with them. So definitely some of those can be very, very deep technical conversations. And after that, I had a final round with them. At that time was the hiring manager. So actually had that was for an architect job. He actually put me kind of like a customer scenario, and I had to do a design and how I would basically solve that requirement. Actually had to go to a whiteboard, do all those good things that we do as architects, the design things. And after that, actually they liked how I actually approached the situation, and obviously they did well. And after that, actually, I as initially was hired as a cloud solution architect. That was my first job. And then actually I switched roles after some time. Then I was a partner technology strategist, kind of similar still in the partner organization, a little more strategic. I also got, I was from the other side at this point of time, basically also working from partners and helped also build solutions on Azure. After that, actually, I left for a year. I was out of Microsoft, and after that, actually, I rejoined. So definitely, as I said, for me, training is one of definitely my personal passions. So definitely, when I saw that Microsoft now, okay, they are hiring trainers. So I actually also applied, and also I had a friend that was actually one of the first trainers that was hired in that team. So of course I knew him. So I said, "Oh, could you endorse me as well?" So of course he endorsed me, and definitely I think also that also helped a lot. After that, actually, I was hired as same thing, standard stuff, kind of 3-4 rounds of interviews. I had in this case because it was for training. I had to definitely demo how I will handle a class at some point of time. And after that, definitely I had the chance. I was among the first 3 Canadians because at that time they basically only were having trainers in the US and they were expanding the operation in other countries. So Canada was one of those first countries. So I was among the first 3 trainers that they hired in Canada back in the days. And that's definitely how I rejoined Microsoft 3 years ago. Now at this point of time, as I said, actually I recently switched roles. I actually was looking forward to move to the US. So I definitely found an interesting job at the Microsoft Technology Center. There's only 43 worldwide. It happens there's one in Dallas, so I found this job. Same thing. You will say maybe because this is internally at Microsoft will be easier, but now you still need to follow the same standard process. Also, kind of 4 rounds of interviews. I have to interview with the other architects, a presentation, all the things. Final round with the hiring manager, and then I got the job and I was transferred here to the US. So that's kind of my internal journey that's at Microsoft. Yeah.
I hope that answers Phil's question. Those are really detailed responses there, particularly on the how you can endorse people at Microsoft. I think that's maybe not something that's known all that well. What I will do though, because there aren't any other questions at all, I will hand it back off to yourself, Christian, to continue.
Awesome, thank you. No, sure, definitely. As I said, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and definitely if you see a position that is interesting, happy to endorse you. Absolutely. Alrighty, so yeah, so let's get back. So let's proceed from now. The last certification I pick up from my favorite certification list is the SC400. So definitely this is part of the brand new path. So last year, Microsoft definitely released the SC. Basically for security, compliance, and identity. So brand new part around security. So definitely back in the days, the new certification role-based model, which is about Azure, about 365. Those were mainly the technologies, but definitely that was expanded over time. And they decided to create a brand new track just for security, and that's definitely the one that they have. And of course, we have SC900. So we have the security fundamentals is also a good starting point in the security space. And then we have SC200, 300, 400. I pick up this one because actually back in the days, one of my first jobs when I joined a Microsoft partner, when I was a consultant, I had actually to implement, I don't know if you're familiar with RMS, Right Management Services, for Active Directory. So actually, I had the chance to be exposed to that and implemented that at several banks. So definitely that's how basically was the approach for information rights management back in the days. So I'm talking about Windows Server 2000, 2003. I had the chance to do that. And after that, I know definitely that the solution evolved over time, but there were much certifications of content about that. And definitely when I saw this, information protection, interesting. So then, and definitely I get the chance to play with these, okay, see, okay, how these evolve. Now it's definitely, of course, it's a completely different story. Back in the days, I remember there was needed to install a client on the computers for this to work, but now everything is embedded, works with mobile devices, and even actually can use different things, like, for example, to classify data, you can just use things like standard patterns, like credit card numbers, IP addresses, all those things. You can actually use regex codes, but actually you can use more advanced things. You can actually use machine learning, and you don't need to build a data model, something like that. It's fairly easy. You can use machine learning to classify data. So it was fairly interesting. I found definitely how the solution evolved over the years. So definitely quite happy definitely with this one. I, of course, learned a lot with the Microsoft Information Protection Solution. And actually when I did this one, of course, while it was in beta, and also because I was training at that point of time, I had the chance actually to be on the pilot, one of the first courses that was basically taught well for this title. I was actually able to provide feedback back to the product team, and actually was selected as the course lead for this title internal at Microsoft. So basically Microsoft trainers have this opportunity as course lead in which we can interact directly with the product team, the ones that actually create the content and the certifications. So actually I was meeting Molly with them, and we provide feedback about one well-building class, what can be included, and actually how we define those certifications. There's something called JTA, that stands for Job Task Analysis. And basically that's done for every certification when, of course, it's first released, and also things are changing over time. So they try to do that at least once a year for every certification. So how that works, so basically for the JTA, they basically invite subject matter experts on that topic worldwide. So definitely this does not come from Microsoft. So actually are outsiders of Microsoft. So definitely people that have the expertise in this topic worldwide. Basically we meet with those SMEs for 1 week. And during that week, we actually discuss about, okay, for example, for the information protection administrator, so what kind of things we need to know to be effective on that job. So we discuss about those things, and after that, actually, as a result of those discussions, is when actually they start building the content for the classes and for the exams and all that. So actually, I had a chance to be on the JT for this back in January. And actually, as a result of that, actually, we had a new release of this class in July. So there's a lot of things that change, and definitely had a chance to contribute to that one. So definitely that's why I picked one. This one is definitely one of my favorite certifications. Yeah, so that was the last one on the list. So maybe a detailed explanation, but yeah, let me pose some questions.
Yeah, I have a question, Christian. I'm absolutely disgusted to see you didn't include the SC100. you must hate the exam. I joke. Just question on that SC100. What did you think of it as an exam, Christian? Just for anybody following the SC series, as you said, it's the newest series to the role-based exams. Being in cybersecurity myself, I'm quite fond of it. So it'd be nice to get your input and see what you thought. I mean, like we know there's at least 4 prerequisites you can do for the SC series exams. What was your approach in that retrospect?
Good question. Yeah, no, definitely. Like even the SC900, the fundamentals one, is a little definitely very technology focused. So definitely that is not definitely for someone that is fairly new to IT. So definitely if you're new to IT, maybe recommend still AC900 first. But definitely you're already been working in IT, but just would like to learn more about security, I still would recommend AC900 first. So definitely personally do that one first. That actually comes like a high-level overview what you can do in terms of security across all the different Microsoft products. So what you can do in Microsoft 365, what you can do in Azure, is all about definitely just that high-level overview that you have with AC900. So it's always a good first step. And after that, actually, I took all the three that we have on that path. So I took AC200, 300, 400. I took all of those. And actually for this one, same thing, because while still was in beta, so no content, no material, and actually didn't pass the exam on my first attempt. I was very, very close. I think I had like 670.
And can I just stop you there for one sec, Christian?
Sure.
You just said something. Can you repeat what you said about your first attempt there?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, I said no material. So basically, just reading stuff, playing with a demo instance, and took the beta exam. And and it's a little frustrating for betas because you don't have the result right away. So you need to wait. So I actually had to wait, and then I get the result. Actually, didn't pass. So quite a little frustrating could be. But it was close.
And that's the reason I wanted to repeat that is because there's a huge thing out there at the moment, Christian, on LinkedIn, and people are afraid of failure, and it's the first thing I'll admit it. I haven't always passed my exams. I have posted when I failed them, and I've posted when I've learned from others. So it just goes to show for anyone looking at these exams and thinking, how do the likes of Christian or Matthew or Frank or Dan, how did they get to expert level or associate level or fundamentals level? How do you do it? How we did it, the answer is we put time into learning the material and learning about it and doing labs. So one of the things you said was you failed it. And what people need to see is failure is first attempt in learning. That's what it is. And and you can see that everybody struggles with different exams. And I think it's just so nice to hear, obviously not that you failed it, but that you failed it and you went back out there and did it again. And that's what makes the IT industry so good, with people like you and Frank and Arendam and me and Dan and others. We first time you don't succeed, you go again and you keep doing it because that's what's going to make you a better engineer, isn't it, Christian?
Absolutely, definitely like that. It could be maybe in some cases seen as a failure, but definitely capture a good point. It just need to be seen maybe as an attempt and part of the learning. So definitely you learn something is good. Now maybe you definitely need to know. Now you get a chance to see how the questions looks like. Definitely be better prepared. And actually that's what I did. And after that, actually once the exam was released, there was content, there was material to study. So went all over that. My second attempt, I passed the exam, and that was awesome. And actually, because I have that background with the previous versions of the products, that's actually tried to bring always those insights when I was teaching this course. And actually, one of the things I like about my previous job, actually, once when I was teaching this class, there's always kind of like a survey that you distribute during class. And actually for this one, once I actually have a perfect score. So basically everyone put me like 100% over 100%. So perfect score on that one. So that was pretty nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect anything less, Christian. You're an industry leader, to be fair. I think there's a lot of people on here, and there's at least 10 plus people on the call. And at some stage over the last 2 years, we've all seen you present. You're an absolute credit to Microsoft as the one who worked for it. To have the excellence and the level of knowledge that you have is something that only most engineers can aspire to. So genuinely well done on your career to date. You've really put yourself out there and you've helped so many students. We have a good few people on the call. So, guys, is there any questions for Christian in general? You know, he's a Microsoft certified trainer over the last 10 years working in Microsoft. You know, he's a well-known industry leader. So, anybody have any questions? I'll hand it over to Henry.
We've got one. So Ebenezer's popped in the chat that as a level 2 tech support engineer with a specialization in Exchange Online, they really want to create or have a career path in Azure DevOps, but they can't code even a bit. What would you advise that they focus on? And this might be aimed at both Christian and Aaron Lam, actually, given the discussion before. So go for it, guys. What do you think?
Interesting, yeah, and yeah, actually, I can quite relate to this one because actually back in the days I used to do a lot of Exchange, so definitely, as I said, definitely I come from an infrastructure background, so at some point of time, definitely for me, DevOps was all new and definitely kind of like maybe understand things like definitely infrastructure as code, yeah, I get it, but definitely things like development and source control and all that stuff definitely was all new for me. So I would recommend definitely that case. Definitely go back from the basics and go definitely start those definitely 104 and definitely after that do 204. So definitely 204 you could say, but that's a developer class, so you need to know how to code. Not necessarily actually in the 204 class is more about actually how to use those products, and of course we concentrate at some point of time how to use the Azure SDK. So it's more about definitely how to use it. So it's not necessarily you need to know how to code or something like that. You definitely need to understand it and what you're doing or what you're using a library and which method is used, for example, to put a message in service bus, which method is used to get a message from service bus. So definitely need to understand those things, but it's not like you will need to go and write a program yourself. Not really. It's more about how to use the Azure SDK. And definitely, as Aruna said, actually gives you like another perspective. So I can say, okay, now you're expanding and going away from just that comfort zone of infra, and now you're learning those things. And definitely, once you learn those things, that definitely will help you to be in a better position now to definitely go for 400, learn more about DevOps, how to use those things, and ace the exam. So definitely, that will definitely still be my recommendation. Definitely do 104, 204, and then go for 400. Yeah, absolutely.
If I say like, I always say this, when anybody asks me, I have like close to like, 15 years of experience like Chris. And I had never done a single line of code in last, before I came to cloud. So I always say everybody that if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's the first thing. The second thing is when an infrastructure guy is coding, the coding is different than what a developer is doing, because PowerShell, Terraform, Ansible, Chef, all these things, they are basically scripting language. They are not programming language. So this is a very, very vital difference between what infrastructure guys are coding and what a developer is doing. So developer are using C#, they're using ASP.NET, they are using Java. So these are programming language, and it requires real-time experience in order to learn it. But scripting languages are very, very easy to learn, and you can learn it really, really fast rather than when you start learning C or C++ or Java or PHP, anything. So this is the very, very first difference. The second thing is that, if you don't know how to do it, the first thing is that you have to learn the version control, because that's the source of your truth. That is why I always say that 204 is very important, because in 204 you have this all version control understanding of how you're committing the code, how you're checking out the code, how you're doing pull request and those kind of things. You get an overview of Git, because there is where your code is going to reside. Now, when I started, I simply plain simple, I started with PowerShell. So what I did is like, if I have to create a storage account, okay, I'll just fire the command and I will do it. What I did next is that I just put all the multiple lines of code into a file and made a PowerShell script. That's the very, very basic you can start doing. And then you slowly start moving into Terraform, which is the industry standard right now for deploying. And I mean, like, when you read the documentation of Terraform or PowerShell, it's very easy to understand. And the way you have to do the infrastructure as a code is that whatever steps you are doing in order to deploy a service from the portal, if you just remember, okay, these are the options. Option 1, I have to select networking. Option 2, I have to select region. If you just follow the path which you are doing in a graphical user interface, think in your mind that I have to just convert it into code. And you just have to put the pieces, the key value pair, and there is a code, nothing else. There's nothing else in infrastructure as a code. Trust me, it seems like, any DevOps engineer is doing a very fancy job, but you get a hang of it. The only thing which Matthew just told, you have to be very, very honest with yourself, and you have to religiously keep on doing, keep on generating ideas, keep on coding, and that's how you build it. That's all I can say.
And that was really good advice, Arndam.
Yeah,
thank you
great
for
point.
that. Really good points there. Christian, question for you. I seem to be asking too many questions tonight.
No,
I was hoping the other lads would lead a bit more on them. My question for you is, the Microsoft, have they any plans to introduce DevSecOps certifications? Because I know we have DevOps and we have security, but is there anything in the pipeline? If I would be interested to see it. I think it'd make for an interesting conversation to see what they do if they do it. But I know, without giving away too much, is there any new exams coming up that might be of interest to people, in certain areas? Anything coming out that you know of?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, actually, that was one of my asks when I actually was involved with learning last year. Actually, guys, we need to have something about DevSecOps. I know in 400, we briefly talk. We have a couple of modules that will talk about security and briefly talk about that. But yeah, it can have its own course because there's a lot of things that definitely can be covered there. So as nothing that I am aware of, at least in the midterm, that they're actually planning to release a certification or a course around that. But I think that for now, the strategy, because there's something that is fairly new, that basically Microsoft is launching GitHub certifications. So in the GitHub certifications, actually have also different tracks. So there's one for associate, developer, admin. I know actually they're planning, and actually one of those certifications, right, I think in the admin one, there's some DevSecOps content that actually is included in that one. So I think actually the plan for now is maybe to reach that a little bit and actually maybe put that into the GitHub certification program. So maybe you can expect to see something there.
The question that everybody's wondering, though, to put DevOps to the side there for a second, is Microsoft have Windows Server Hybrid associate exam. When are we going to see the expert?
Yeah.
That is the question, because Windows Server Hybrid is going to be the way of the future for a good few years now. I mean, we had our MCSA and MCSE in Windows Server. So are we going to see an expert exam in Windows Server Hybrid, do you think?
No, not that I'm aware of. For now, definitely, I think that when they built this, they definitely decided to put it in the associate level, even though definitely it's a topic that has a vast amount of information. And if you definitely see from a professional standpoint, I think definitely should be considered maybe an expert certification, because there's a lot of things that definitely would be more on the expert level. But I think that they decided to keep it in the associate one. Yeah.
I was just going to say that I definitely felt what they could have done with the hybrid was do an associate level with the which to be fair, if you think about it, the AZ800 and 801 were quite in depth now for 2 exams, each of 120 minutes, and I can certainly say myself I was exhausted after doing them. I did them on 2 separate days, but like, you could have probably split that into 2 exams, but done one associate, like what they did with the Azure associate and expert. They put in a good bit of high-level material into the associate exam, and then they said, right, in the expert exam, you're going to really delve into designing it. They could have done something as similar with the AZ 800 and 801. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they do bring out anything expert level for it, won't it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's good feedback.
Yeah. Henry, have we any more questions off anybody for Christian?
I'm not seeing any at the moment. If any of the panel has questions for Christian in the meantime, though, I will continue to monitor this and keep an eye on it.
I'll just say one thing that Matthew, the next future is Azure Arc.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and I can't wait till Microsoft bring out the certification in just Azure Arc. I'm only touching I'd say the first page of it, to be honest, over the last few weeks with our customers and clients. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see that develop further.
Yeah, and from Microsoft, Thomas Maurer, he's from Switzerland, and he is actually the Azure Arc advocate. So if you want to learn more about Azure Arc, he's actually the advocate, Thomas Maurer. I attend a lot of sessions because he's a pure infrastructure guy, and he is actually promoting Azure Arc a lot from Microsoft.
Yeah, and do you know what is disappointing though? I will say, Christian and Arndam, we saw Autopilot take off over the last 2 years, especially with COVID, but we haven't seen a certification specialty in Autopilot and Intune. Very interesting kind of thing to say, isn't it, Christian? Considering Microsoft are trying to get people to go from a point of view where your devices are ordered with whoever your provider is, and the customer gets an end user experience that really is truly out of this box, out of this world. Really, it's personalized to them. So I am surprised they didn't do a specialty in Autopilot yet. Any reason you think for that? I know it's part of Azure and Intune, but you could do it. You could do your own cert on that, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, like I think that was like 4 years ago. I think, yeah, actually was when I was actually with a customer, and actually had the chance to play with on a project that actually they implemented all the things, conditional access, MFA, Intune. So I helped them with that. And actually, one of the asks was, "Hey, can we have a course for Intune?" And I asked, but there was not really no training, and definitely was also surprised. And even nowadays, it's still the case. We don't have like a specific training for Intune, but definitely is briefly covered in a couple of definitely ones. I know one SC200. Briefly, we talk about that, and definitely this one MS 101. Yeah, there's some topics that are covered, but it's not just a pure Intune certification or exam, but yeah, that's definitely a good content. At least now we cover in some degree what we can do with Intune in those different exams.
Yeah, I Henry, I think we might have had a question there from the audience there.
I think it's more of a comment more than anything else. It's from Michael. Yeah. He states that they thought that the 800 and the 801 the 800 was more of an on-premise focused certification, whereas the 801 was more Azure or cloud focused. Is that something that rings true if somebody was to study that, or do you think there's a good interlinking of both on-prem and cloud between both of them?
Yeah, you definitely do see those topics that Dan is highlighting. Yeah, definitely those things like Autopilot, the Windows deployment services, but definitely touch heavily those components that basically using the on-premises environment. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that was it's a mix. But definitely it's heavily concentrated because all those services basically live on the cloud. So it's all about definitely of the features and how to use all those different services, I would say.
No, actually, it also makes sense, Chris, because we are talking about the hybrid certification. So 800 is more of an on-premises. We talk about user state migration tool, USMT. Talk about deployment services, which was previously remote infrastructure services, RIS server. So yeah, I mean, that makes a good match, 800 and 801, I would say.
Yeah, but yeah, actually in both you have different topics. Yeah, you have Windows Server topics, but you also have Azure stuff in both exams. Yeah.
I think what's interesting, actually just I'm going to see if I can share. Are you sure you want to share? Yeah. So I'm going to just share something here. Let me know when you can see it. I think you should be able to see it. Yeah.
All right, it's coming.
So I suppose I think this is interesting, right? For the Azure Solutions Architect, right? We can see the top level. Sorry, I don't. Yeah, so we can see the top level here. It says Fundamentals and then Solution Architect. What I think is funny is Microsoft made a slight mistake here. I'd say they meant to put the middle one in here at some point, because if we take a look at let's say the likes of where is it now? Actually, they've done it with a few of them. So if we take a look at the SC100, yeah, see here now they've they've the full path. So it's just interesting to see Microsoft aren't doing that with some of them. They're just saying, oh, let's have a look at the fundamentals and associate, but they haven't done the full path. But yeah, so like we spoke earlier about this. This was interesting. So I mean, you had your security engineer, your identity and access. What I find interesting is they've taken away the information protection one here, Christian. It used to be here, no?
Yeah.
For the it seems like it's gone now. They've kind of said no. So yeah, you have your security engineer, identity and access, 365 certified administrator, and security operations, and then obviously you have your SC100. What you call it? What is your opinion on the prerequisites? Obviously, you're not going to need to do, if you're looking at the security pathway, you're not going to need to do all of them realistically. It can be a mix and match. What would you be doing if you were going down the security route in Microsoft? What would you be looking at here if you were to redo it again?
Yeah, definitely that one. Of course, I always and actually would start first step there. There was definitely start with AC900 and then go for one of those. Definitely depending what's your interest. I get definitely like the those different certifications had some good coverage in different topics. Like definitely either the 500 or the different SC exams. I would definitely prepare you for the SC100, the expert one. And I think they decided to took out the SC400 because it's heavily concentrated just in information protection. Definitely is part of the strategy of SC100, but it's not enough. So definitely, if you just pass that one, definitely you're not ready to tackle that exam and get that knowledge. Yeah.
And I think that's a fair statement to actually make, because I remember when I started this path, I did the 3, 2, 3, 4, and 9, but like one of them was, because it's gone, as we said, it's gone now. One of them was the information protection one, but I don't think there was enough in that to really count that as a prerequisite, because it was more about understanding sensitivity levels and stuff in it, because that's also covered in security engineer. A lot of that is in that exam. So look, it's just interesting to kind of show people, like, there was a huge confusion over in general with Microsoft exams that, oh, you had to do this, and this. But actually what Microsoft are saying is you complete one prerequisite and then you move on to your SC100 exam. It's the same principle that applies here for your fundamentals. So you do your Azure fundamentals and then you go on to do your AZ104, which is an absolutely brilliant exam. It's kind of the core of Azure, really, isn't it? If these two kind of marry each other and you get a good idea for when you go to do the expert level exam. So and what's nice is Microsoft have Microsoft Learn. As you can see, I didn't really use it for my studies. I'm a book person, so I had the book for this, which was great. But yeah, no, so that's another great pathway. And of course, we have the DevOps, which is, as Arundam and you have both said, it's really interesting. There's our developer associate exam, which is kind of, they may as well have said and this, because you're not going to get it all from the associate. You're going to have to go off and do your developer exam to really kind of delve into it. And it does specifically tell you should have at least 2 years developing, solutions for Azure. So yeah, Arundam, that was your advice as well, wasn't it, to go and do this?
Yes, no, Matthew. And here it's very important to nail down one thing, that there are two paths out here. Many people who feel that that I would like myself to see as an architect. So then it becomes AZ 900, then AZ 104, and then AZ 700, and then he moves to AZ 300.
Okay.
The thing. So then that's a path which many people, they like building up things. They like engineering things. So for them it would be like AZ 900, AZ 104, AZ 700, 204, AZ 400. So that is, in my opinion, two different tracks.
Okay. I know we've had Christian. So Christian, obviously you have done the solutions architect exam. Advice for people doing it? Any advice for people that are going off trying to learn about creating solutions for Azure? Would you have any good advice for them over their kind of study period? I know for me it was a 3-year cycle of learning, so for others it might be shorter or longer. What's the advice to keep going on that?
I would definitely require one, Chris, because I have to appear for one of this.
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Like I would say definitely that path is a little misleading. Definitely just 900 won't be enough to get that. And I recognize that actually during class when I was teaching this one, many times I have actually customers that even didn't take AZ 900, and they would just jump into the class, and by the end of the first day they say, you know what, I'm lost. So definitely, and it was it's actually an expert certification level. So there's a lot of things that you should know beforehand, and definitely that one is definitely more complete. I would definitely recommend at least definitely doing 104. And that definitely will help you to be prepared for AC305. But definitely, as you described, definitely takes that experience as an architect, designing things at least a couple of years to successfully pass the exam. For now, as you can see, actually the name of the exam is actually Designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions. So it's heavily concentrated on infrastructure topics like VMs, backup, disaster recovery, those things, but actually has some portion of data as well. And actually on the I know that on the course there's a module in which we briefly talk about some data stuff. So there's a couple of questions around that, but as you can see, it's heavily concentrated on the infrastructure side of things. I know there was a lot of requests around that. Some folks say, you know what, why we keep this into we put data stuff in an infrastructure exam, that should be somewhere else. I know maybe they have some internal plans to maybe revamp that and maybe have actually as you can see, keep this one as the infrastructure solutions. And you're more interested in the data dev side of things, maybe have a developer solution architect.
Do you think Microsoft should have I know from my experience, I think they should have probably made this a 2 exam like they did with the AZ 800 and 801. Do you think this was one of those exams where they should have, I suppose I'm going to be honest, not made it so easy in terms of only having one prerequisite, you know, because realistically you're going to need a bit of hybrid. You're going to need some of the modules from the AZ 800 and 801 in this as well to really kind of get a good idea of it. What do you think?
They did have it broke up in 2 before, Matthew.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. Do you
Exactly.
think they should have brought it back?
They had the 300 and the 301.
Yep, exactly.
That's when I done it the first time. That was it. One section had a lot of labs in it, and the other then was more kind of multiple choice questions.
Yeah. I do remember you telling me that, but my question is, do you think they should bring it back, Christian? Because there's a lot of people that don't, I think, fully understand what solutions architecture is and what it entails really and truly, and the amount of experience you need to have to do it. Not just like getting the certification is brilliant, but actually the experience is really what sets you apart on this, isn't it?
Yeah. That's all valid point. And I definitely like. I think that how we ended with this. It definitely has way back history. Even before 300 and 301, the previous version used to have 532, 533, and 534. That at some point I was in 535. So the old exams.
I done the 533 for that one.
Yeah. So the 32 was for infra, 33 was for developer, and 34 was for the architect. So back in the days, you had to pass all 3 to get the certification. And I think after that, when they created the role base, basically they just kind of like rename. So basically they put all the content that was on the infra one, 32, in 300, and kind of the developer stuff that was in 33 into that what used to be 301. Up from Portal, actually they evolved, and actually they called 303, 304 at some point of time, that there were the newer versions. But then actually they found that, you know what, actually there was a lot of overlapping. So I think at some point of time during that evolution, both courses and both exams were fairly similar. So actually kind of we lost track of, okay, this is the infra side of things and this is the developer side of things. And there was just a substantial overlapping. So they say, you know what, let's get this fixed. Let's make this an architect exam. And definitely like the 305 newer version, they just decided to make a single exam and definitely concentrated in what Frank described, but definitely what used to be 301 or 304, that is purely the architect exam. So actually during that class, there are no labs. So it's more about actually whiteboarding and designing things. So it's kind of the truly architect exam. And as you can see now, it's purely focused on the infrastructure side of things. I know that I remember at some point of time there were some discussions, like also like kind of recreating those paths, as I said, and maybe for 104, let's create the infra architect, and for 204, let's create another exam, and let's have like a solutions architect, but on the developer side of things. But at some point of time, they decided basically not to invest in that effort, and just to keep for now 305. I think that's definitely what still will have for a long time.
Just one question there. You know, 60% of the VMs are spun up in Azure or Linux. And they got rid of the Linux on Azure certification. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, you brought a good point. Yeah, we used to have that special certification Linux on Azure. That basically you had to pass the Linux Foundation exam in combination with 104, and then you will get the Linux on Azure. Yeah, definitely kind of the majority of VMs are running Linux. But they decided to take that one out because truly, like, there was not a course from Microsoft that actually teach you that and how you will get the knowledge and get the certification. Is more definitely getting a third-party exam to gain the knowledge. And actually, there was not actually a lot of adoption of that one. I would say though, actually they decided to take it out and say, you know what, yeah, okay, we heavily support Linux and Azure, but for now, let's not just invest in a certification. And basically, yeah, it's still the case. If you definitely would like to learn more Linux, you still can get that Linux Foundation certification and get that certification from the third party instead of Microsoft, because definitely they say, okay, yeah, Microsoft, we're definitely not the creator of Linux. We support the world, but let's just let's Linux maintain the certification program for you. Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Is it like is it also why you don't have any AKS specialization in Azure?
Good point. Yeah, because the AKS has its own certification model as well.
Yeah, Kubernetes has, but Microsoft can also promote this, Chris, because in AKS there is also a lot of components which is not natively available for CNCF Kubernetes, like the networking plugin CNI. It's a Microsoft invention. Yeah. So I feel that there should be like a Kubernetes platform as well, because AKS is booming, Azure Kubernetes Service. So I feel that that should also give an edge. Because the traditional Kubernetes certification, it includes all the master and the worker nodes, but in AKS, we don't have to care about master nodes.
Yeah. Here's a first point. Yeah, you have all those different things like integration with keyboard and all those nice things. So
Exactly. Even the CNI driver, which is integrating with Key Vault, the storage account integrations and those things, you are not natively. You have to have a lot of things to do when you are doing a traditional Kubernetes.
Question for you, Christian. Completely different term than so on. Azure Virtual Desktop, Microsoft are pushing this quite hard. Obviously, have you taken the exam yet? I think you have, haven't you? What did you think? What did you think as a specialty? Good choice for anyone looking at virtual desktop.
Yeah, and actually that was my first specialty exam. I took like a couple of months ago. Was definitely interesting to see the virtual desktop, also how this evolved. I remember some years ago, actually, I was involved in a project we actually will deploy like VDI by using Hyper-V. That was some years ago, but that definitely there was a lot of struggle on that project. I can definitely tell that nowadays with this solution is quite simple, and definitely I can see that we have all those different things that are the foundation. So we use VMs in Azure, we use storage accounts, we use Azure AD for authentication. So way simpler to implement that. So definitely a highly recommended, and definitely now with remote work and all that stuff, a lot of customers are heavily adopting VDI. So definitely Azure Virtual Desktop is a nice, definitely recommended exam. Definitely, if you'd like to learn more about Azure Virtual Desktop and VDI. Yeah.
And again, if you are doing VDI, AZ104 and AZ700 is a must. It's a must.
Yeah.
Okay.
As our audience can see there, Christian has an absolute litany of certification there. Really impressive. Christian, really and truly, you know your stuff. Like, I mean, you really have done it all. MCT, MCSA, MCSE, all your Azure, all your OpenHack. You're really an industry leader. Hackathon, everything. So just for anyone watching, check Christian out. He has some great stuff there. Christian, are you happy for people to connect with you and everything on LinkedIn?
Sure. Absolutely. Happy to connect.
Brilliant. I just wanted to get that out there so people could see someone like yourself has helped many students. So just if anyone needs support or they want to ask an odd question, always reach out to Christian. He's very approachable and he is an exemplary solutions architect. Sorry.
Thanks.
No, Henry, sorry. Do we have any last
I'm back in.
questions for
Right.
Christian?
We've got a first one from Michael. He said, sort of made a comment on, we've seen with MS220, MS720 and AZ720 that Microsoft seems to be branching out into more troubleshooting focused exams. Is that the direction they're going in? Design, implementation and troubleshooting tracks for different services, or is it going a different direction?
Good point. Yeah, definitely have those brand new exams. I think definitely the one for Teams was released some months ago, but definitely the 720 is brand new one, and definitely is about troubleshooting. So definitely it's kind of like an enhancement from 700. Networking engineer is troubleshooting network in Azure. Yeah, definitely that's kind of the approach. We definitely, as I mentioned during those JTA exercises, we identified the need. So definitely there was a lot of folks that said, yeah, actually, maybe 104, 700 are good, because I get a sense, okay, how it looks like in a daily basis to work with those things, what I need to know that help me. But also in a daily basis, in some cases, we run into some issues. So if there's specific framework, or can we talk about more about the common issues and how to solve them? So that's actually how they decided to create the troubleshooting certifications. So definitely because of the asks, of course, Teams, there was the ask for the troubleshooting and also for networking. So that's definitely what I decided for now exclusively to create also AC 720 for networking troubleshooting. So yeah, definitely could say that's the approach where we see the need. So definitely where we see customers needing that kind of skills, that definitely Microsoft is trying to create those certifications and those classes to cover those topics. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd also point out that MS740 does not have a Microsoft set of official curriculum just yet, but there is study material out on Microsoft Learn, unless anything's changed very recently. I've been looking for the instructor-led information for a while, but have not seen this side. But you can certainly prepare for that exam from a troubleshooting perspective through Microsoft Learn.
And just to add to what Chris said, basically 740 is focusing on two different audiences. One is like, Microsoft support engineers who are taking the support tickets which we are raising. So it's very essential for them. And the second is, there are various organizations who are basically the cloud service providers. And they have also they are actually we all know that, we have enterprise agreement and then we have CSP models. So these are very helpful for any cloud service provider which are handling CSP models.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then oh, sorry. I talked over you again. My apologies. I'm not a very good moderator.
You're fine, Henry. Sorry, no, I actually just saw we had a good question there, and I actually took a good bit of interest into it. We had a question there on, I think it should be shown there, yeah, on the renewal. So Microsoft actually do have a web page that the web page on their site that goes through what you need to do for the renewals. They also have a nice little video. I'm not going to show it, but they do have a nice little step-by-step video there for it. And they also have, if you're looking at your certification profile, unfortunately, this is going to be blurred. It's actually blurred on their website. Just in case, Christian, you want to raise that with them. It's blurred, and what usually happens is you go into your certification profile and you just hit renew. There'll be a little renewal button there when it's ready to be renewed. You will also get an email for the renewal, and Microsoft do have a nice little Q&A there for people that have asked some great questions. It is 6 months is the earliest you can renew. It's free. Your first 2 times you can go instantly if you don't get it again, but after that you have to wait 24 to 48 hours, sorry, 24 hours to do the next shot at a renewal, and it takes about 24 to 48 hours for everything to update on their portal. So it's just to help anyone out there looking for that information. It's as simple as typing in renew your Microsoft certification, and it's a 6-minute read. So just for anyone that needed that. Okay.
Yeah, my MS740 is already up for renewal. So I've already taken my first shot, and I need to take a second shot, and then you never know, there might be a third shot.
and you see guys, there we go. First attempt in learning. We're always learning. So all the people out there that are panicking over not passing something or getting it the first time, not everyone gets it the first time, and it's a great feeling when you do pass that exam or that renewal the first time. But we're not machines, so you just keep at it till you get it, and you reap the reward after you've completed it. And you have it there. If you keep renewing your exams, you keep them for life, pretty much, as long as you keep renewing them. They're free. Christian, you're talking to us all the way over from Microsoft in Dallas, correct? You're over in that part of the world. Any advice for I've seen over the last few weeks, I'm doing a lot of training with people, and what I seem to be seeing, especially with something that myself and Claire Smith have highlighted a lot, is women in tech. There's not enough women in tech, and basically, sorry, no, I just lost my train of thought there for a sec. There's not enough women in tech, and I've been training women over the last few weeks in certifications and stuff. What is your advice to women that are getting started in their tech journey, or maybe they're at executive level and they want to move over to a kind of a cybersecurity or a more exchange role or something? What's the advice? Because you don't see enough women in tech. So what's the encouragement that we can support all the women in tech? What is the support we can give them as men, I suppose, to kind of help them along the way, and see them rise into great engineers?
Yeah, that's a good point. They're definitely very, very relevant nowadays. A couple of things. First, definitely, if they have already experienced even in a different industry, a different field, there's a huge gap. We definitely need people with the skills in cybersecurity, and we'll be great. Definitely, women can definitely help to close that gap. So definitely, super easy. I would recommend the first step. Actually, have all those free trainings that you can take with the Microsoft Azure virtual training days. So definitely go and look for those. There's plenty of those in security. I actually recorded a couple of those. So that will give you a good idea. And actually, for those, for example, that are aligned with the fundamentals, there's actually one that you can get the certification for free at the end of the event. So there's one for SC900. So you can learn more about security. And at the end of the day, you can get a certification for free. So definitely that will help you to make it in the industry. That definitely will be the first recommendation for definitely professionals. And the other one, actually, at Microsoft, we also have different initiatives. So definitely try to cultivate definitely the younger generations. And at Microsoft, we have something called DigiGirls. So DigiGirls, actually, we talk to young women in this case, and basically, that's the one. So basically, all the students that are in college, high school, and basically, we definitely try to get them into the technology industry because definitely need more women. And actually, personally, I had a chance to be involved in this one. A couple of weeks ago, actually, we have several groups of students from high school that actually come here to the Microsoft Dallas NTC and actually get a chance to see them how it's a day working at Microsoft. I actually get a chance to show them HoloLens, so talk about mixed reality, show them the HoloLens in action and all that stuff. So definitely to spark the interest in the field and in technology. So this is definitely one of those good initiatives that can definitely help us to close that gap. Yeah.
That is absolutely inspirational. I actually never even knew that existed, Christian. Obviously, on a side note, Christian, if you're looking for anyone, I'd be delighted to give some time to Microsoft to support that initiative remotely if I can, if you'll have me. I'll definitely. I'm sure you and I might talk again about this. And yeah, that DigiGirls thing looks absolutely brilliant. I see it's all about getting them involved in technology, expressing ideas, and learning through the likes of VR and tech camps and hackathons. So that's really good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we have our virtual training days as well. Dan has up on the screen there. So that's what it looks like. You click onto the training day website. You choose your training day type that you want, and most likely you're going to see Christian Vegra, Chelsea Lee, and Lorraine Lawrence on those training days. Would I be right in saying, Christian?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in this note, Christian, like the DigiGirls is more about the college students or maybe everything. What happens like if somebody who has like 10 or 11 years of experience, in, for example, Java as a software developer, and now she wants to move into, for example, data or AI, let's example. Does Microsoft help something like this, when somebody wants to change their career, or maybe, they have taken a gap for one year or 2 years, and then after that, they want to kickstart into something into Microsoft or something like that? Is there any program, something which you are aware of?
Yeah, and Microsoft, unfortunately, not definitely for maybe individuals that had a gap or something, but for recent graduates, we have a program called MAC. So definitely that's for, it doesn't matter, it's from college, a university, a master's degree, but anyone that recently graduated from that program, basically there's that, yeah, so maybe just change the name. I know it used to be called MAC.
Yeah, here it is.
That one. So basically, all those individuals basically can be involved in this program, and these are quite unique. You have onboarding, you have opportunity to learn a lot of different things, and definitely they put you in very, very interesting roles. So you can definitely get to basically learn things, and but definitely just for recent graduates. Unfortunately, maybe there's a gap. It's been some time that you graduated. Nothing that I'm aware that definitely can help to support that, but you can always definitely go and apply. You find a role that may be interested, you can just go to the Microsoft career site and apply. And definitely, you don't need to have a specific even experience or a degree in a specific field. If definitely have the attitude and you're eager to learn, you can basically get the job.
Yeah, because the real challenge which I see, and I have a lot of friends, who are facing this challenge at the moment in their life, is because they have been pure developers, and then what happens is that on the way, they start their family, so they have to take a break, and when they come back, and I mean, like that is one challenge. And after that, if somebody wants to switch okay, now I have done enough of development, I want to do something in data. They start learning, they get certified, but they don't get the opportunity because they don't have the real-time experience. But in my opinion, it doesn't happen with the male I mean, like the section, because even if you have gaps, even if you have like you don't have knowledge or something, you somehow manage it, you get it, you land up. But for women, it's really difficult, because I know this because I have few friends in UK, I have few friends in India, and they are facing this challenge every now and then.
Yeah, fair enough. I know that most communities have like local things like women in technology, that they also run events, and maybe we'll look maybe for a local chapter, just would like for maybe women in technology. I know definitely there may be a good opportunity to get involved. Definitely that's they can help. I know some Microsoft employees also as volunteers help on those local chapters as well. So maybe can be also good opportunity. Yeah.
Cool.
I think we had a question there from Shannon, which was interesting. Henry, do you want to read it out there?
I don't know if it was answered specifically in the last conversation, but I'll ask it anyways. Is there something like the DigiGirls program for somebody who is maybe in their mid-30s? Is there something that is very, very similar but targeted differently? I think is the main crux of the question there.
Yeah.
This is what I tried to ask.
Yeah, fairly similar to the question that random, I think. But yeah, no, unfortunately, we don't have like a specific firm from that for now. I definitely recommend look for a local chapter, look maybe Women in Tech. That maybe could be a good starting point. Otherwise, also maybe the training days. Go to the training days. If you're looking for something specific about security or data and AI, get a free certification. That can definitely always help to make basically that switch on the career. And definitely, if that's the case as mentioned, if maybe just recent graduates, you maybe just complete your studies, MBA or any other studies, you can always definitely apply for that MAC program. Yeah.
One thing I would say as well is, because obviously we don't know what situation you're in as an individual, if you are a student that is currently reskilling themselves, being a student ambassador is really not such a bad shout. I don't know if there's a requirement on age for their student ambassador program. I don't think there is, but that could be something that is worthwhile looking at if you are in the position where you are a student on a college course, or if you're doing a shorter course to reskill yourself or something to that effect. That's normally quite a good shout. I would also say bringing it out from Microsoft a little bit. If whichever region it is you're based in, there will normally be a computing or IT focused, like digital society almost, or industry body that you can join. I know in the UK here we have the British Computing Society, and they have quite a global reach. I don't know if the US or Canada has their own equivalent, but becoming a member of an industry body like that shows that you're dedicated towards the field itself, and can be a really good foundation for you to do all these little extra things, like doing a training day, like getting additional fundamental certifications, so on and so forth. I know I'm moderating this, but I thought I'd pop my 2 cents in on that one because I've got a bit of lived experience having switched from marketing myself. So I hope that's helpful at the very least. I think there was another attachment to that in there. It just says it might be an avenue for diversity and inclusion piece. That's their background specifically. So perhaps maybe that is something that could be fed back towards Microsoft's way, having some kind of scheme that is targeted to somebody who's coming in tech, maybe with background in a different industry entirely, and then coming through. Maybe this is to sort of catch that particular individual, perhaps. For me, just thought.
Just on the same topic there about women returning to work after a break. Dell Technologies actually run a program for people that are out of work for years, and it's called Restart. And when you look up Dell Careers Restart program, you'll find it.
No, I haven't seen it now myself.
Yeah,
Frank.
if you just put in Restart, yeah, you see it. There you go.
Okay. Right.
Dan, you're talking on mute.
There we go. I was going to say there's also Gabriella Schuster from Microsoft that has quite a bit of context around women getting into technology, pursuing careers. And then Jennifer Didier, who owned Microsoft's partner in my area, in the Illinois area, Directions Training. Jennifer does a number of women in tech events. She has a women in tech podcast called Tech in the Right Direction. She interviews all sorts of women in tech and has interest in addressing that gender gap as well. So a couple other people, and that's Frank. Thanks for the link to the jobs.dell.com/restart. Looks like another great resource.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment as things sit.
Okay.
I will keep monitoring and things like that. But if you guys,
I
anybody has any
have-
questions, go ahead.
I have two questions, but yeah, Matt, go ahead if you want to.
No, go. Sorry. No, I'm just looking at the time. To be fair, Chris, we've kept Christian quite a bit now this afternoon. The poor man had said he would do his presentation. I'd say Christian, you're after getting more than you bargained for this afternoon, anyways. With this event. So what we might do is we might just let Aaron Dam ask his questions, and
Sure.
we might just let you off then, and we'll close up the event then in a few minutes, just to let you get on with your afternoon. Go ahead, Aaron Dam. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty much simple. The one regarding the GitHub certifications, it's only like, if you are a GitHub partner, right? You cannot do it without that, the certifications, if I am correct.
Let me just I know there was writing a pilot around that, but actually, someone actually published on LinkedIn. I recall this week actually put even some study guides for free available. I think that now you can actually take those. Yeah, I just take a look on you just do a quick search for GitHub certification program. There's actually a repo on GitHub that actually has actually the links. You can take the certification for free. So it looks like this was just recently available. So now it's for everyone actually at this point of time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because this was only one thing, which I was only worried about, because if somebody doesn't have a GitHub, like, enterprise contract or something like that, if you're not GitHub partner, you cannot associate you have to then associate an identity with the GitHub partner, and then only you can give the certification. But this is good to know that this has gone.
Yeah.
And one last question is, all the certification which had black logos in your dashboard when you presented, so those certifications or hackathon or whatever it is, are those only available for Microsoft employees, or else we can also avail those?
Yeah, definitely. Those are the open hacks. If you go to openhack.microsoft.com, you will get more details about those. Basically, how to get those. Actually, those are open for customers. So typically, how you can get that. Maybe internally at the company, if you have a relationship with Microsoft, just ask your Microsoft representative how you can get involved in an open hack. You can participate for free. I know some cases also learning partners as well run those. So maybe there's also learning partners, so I can get involved in an open hack. But yeah, it's open for customers as well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic, Chris. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, folks. Yeah.
I thought my mic was unmuted. I don't know why that just happened. Is that after going back to me? That shouldn't have. Can we send that live? Yeah, sorry. Christian. I'm still getting used to this. So just a reminder for anyone watching, especially for all the Microsoft partners out there in the world, the Microsoft Partner Center designations are all changing in October. So that's just a look at what the new partner designations are going to look like. We have we have 7 different partner designations, and we have a new MSP expert in Azure designation for Microsoft partners. So just while you were on the call, Christian, I said I'd throw that up there, handy to have for others to see. And that process all starts in October, from October onwards this year. So kind of handy to get that out there. Come here. Okay, can we just bring Christian up there? Yeah. Christian, it was absolutely lovely having you on the show. Christian has given up a few occasions now to come on and talk to people and give practical advice, assistance, and guidance on certification training and learning. Christian, congrats on your new role. I wish you the very best in it. I'm sure we'll have you back. At this stage, I'd say it's going to be next year. We'll probably check in with you again, to give you a break from our from our live sessions. You've been on quite a few, to be fair. But look, Christian, you're always welcome to join us. If you have anything to share with the group over the next few months, please do share it. All love having you here. You're just a bundle of information every time you come on, and you're an industry leader. So it's great to have you. Thank you for taking the time to be on our show.
Thank you so much, Krish.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank you
Christian.
for the opportunity. That was great.
Thanks a
Appreciate
million,
it.
Christian. All right, we'll talk to you, Christian. Mind yourself. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christian. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, all right. I suppose that kind of marks the end of our show.
See if Russ has any
I think I
any
still haven't
announcements.
I haven't gotten used to Teams yet, Dan. It's still like I thought I sent my video live there, but it doesn't show. So I don't know why.
There's mine.
Oh, there's yours. Yours is showing, which is
Yep.
always good. At least that.
I think my
okay.
Facebook one worked anyway, Dan.
Good, perfect.
Did it? Brilliant.
And so you sent
So-
it from the
From OBS.
OBS. Awesome. Okay.
Amazing.
So I had
Yeah,
that.
I'll take a look at that.
I hope everything worked out all right.
Yeah.
Sure. We will see in the what you call it.
It showed up.
Recap.
It showed up in LinkedIn Live, all right, but it just didn't start for some reason. There must have been.
Huh.
Got the
Yeah,
URL and the keys, but it didn't.
Okay.
So maybe for by the
That
time
was
we
on
get it.
your that was on your profile?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's some weirdness with starting the event. And I think it's how you have it plugged into maybe OBS too.
Yeah.
So we can look at it. But I know there was
Did
one
it come out?
other.
Did I tried to put it up on the Microsoft Speakers Club? Come out on that?
I don't know.
Did you have it on that?
I had a short video that went live there to tell people that we were on LinkedIn Live, but I don't know if another video went live. Let's see. Looks like we had the video that was like 6 minutes long, just letting people know how to get in here.
Okay.
Yeah, we had that, but I don't know where we actually went live.
Yeah, I suppose by the next event, like I only started playing around with it there the last day or two.
Right.
So, by the time we get the next event, we'll have a
Perfect.
few things. I might set up Twitch as well. Have a go out through that one.
I have not figured out Twitch, so if you are
Okay,
either a Twitch expert or even just Twitch user, that would be awesome.
Perfect.
And I know Russ was on the call.
Yes.
And his event is Teams 10X. I don't know if Russ is still available to chat about it.
Hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey,
amazing.
I am actually here, but I've been jumping in and out, so I apologize.
I figured there was a chance you were still around and wanted to make sure, since we don't have an event, Matthew, I don't think for September, right? We're coming back in October.
I don't think we have anything scheduled yet for this was our first September event.
Right.
The next one is labs. So that's a different kind of an event. So look, yeah, no, Russ, take the stage, please. Speak, talk to us, tell our audience about your event, that's coming up.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. It's a 2-day event, September 28th and 29th. We've got 70 speakers across 8 tracks both days. It's primarily a 12 to 5 Eastern time zone event, and we're going to cover everything from how to get started with Teams and best practices to governance to customizing it to the video, audio, meeting capabilities, best practices. So we're really touching on everything, and we've got an amazing set of speakers across the ecosystem from different partners, and we've got a core group of, I think we have, last count it was 11 or 12 Microsoft speakers, and our keynotes are going to be Caruana Gatamo and Stephen Rose are going to do the keynotes on each day. So I'm super excited about it, and I know you'll get a lot of value from attending.
Absolutely. I'll definitely look at it, Russ. I will be very interested to see how other speakers go through Teams, especially when we're only getting started on our own events. So it'll be a valued added event for us, both myself and Dan. So we'll definitely be there and support that. That's no problem.
I'm one of those 70 speakers, so I have to be there.
Yeah, Dan's going to be there for sure.
That part he didn't tell me. So you see, it's not scripted.
Nope.
So yeah, no, absolutely, Ross. It looks very good. I like the fact that it's free. I hope you're getting some bit of advertising or support with events like that. That's a great thing to offer to audiences across the world. So yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's just been something that I've been passionate about, and I want to, try and just keep building that community. So, remove the obstacles, make it free.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that is, and that's what being a good industry leader is about, showcasing that talent and sharing it with younger generations. So, yeah, absolutely. Well done, Ross. I can't wait to look at it. Hopefully I might pick up 1 or 2 things about how to actually use Teams live events properly. So yeah, no. Anything else for us that you want to give a shout out to, or you want to kind of speak about just before we wrap up?
I would just say register on the website, teams10x.com. So you got it there.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you all for having me.
Is this your 6th event?
This is our 6th event.
That's right.
And excuse me, our first event, I guess, well, we were planning to do a physical event, and because of COVID hitting, it became virtual. And we went from planning to have 100 people to having 1,500. And each event has basically grown since then. And I think the largest that we've done so far has been about 6,000 or 6,500, if I remember correctly. So I'm hoping this one's going to actually be even larger. So
that's excellent.
Trying to make sure we got a good group of people. I love the concept of it. It's global, and so much like when I was getting started and all, we would do, it was like, in our area of Philadelphia, and then, okay, it's, the Eastern time zone, and it's, it's grown. But I mean, it's like with COVID, it's like everything went instantly global, and to have the conversations that you can have inside of a single day with people all over the world, like face to face, like what we're doing, is just, to me, still, as many times as I've done it, it still just blows my mind.
I would agree. It's pretty amazing.
Very good.
And it takes away that, I have to travel, there's costs, even if the conference is free, If it's in the US and you're in Ireland, or Ireland and you're in the US, there's costs
Right.
associated with that travel, unless
But
Matthew and Frank host you in their home.
It's definitely more environmentally friendly anyway.
Oh yes,
But no, all the
Yeah.
travel.
oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
no,
absolutely, Frank.
I don't know where we're
Absolutely,
at with the current event, but one of the other events we were at like almost 110 different countries,
Wow.
people,
Wow.
attendees
Wow.
from. So
Wow.
it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, for me, it just blows my mind every time I go through the attendee list and look at the different companies and where they're coming from, and it, just it's wonderful. It's just a great thing. So it's a great opportunity to just be able to do this.
Well, we're happy to have you on at any time, Russ. And that team's events, I'm sure myself and Dan will get that shared out to all our connections, and we'll drive more people over to it. I don't think you really need to with it though, because people want to actually learn it, so that it'll be good. You'll get that naturally either way. So yeah, thanks for sharing it with us, Ross. And hopefully we'll kind of have you back again at some point, maybe to
Fantastic.
speak or something.
Oh, would absolutely love that. Just let me know when.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, brilliant, absolutely. Okay, so that kind of unfortunately, as our audience's guest, we weren't able to have Lorraine Lawrence on this afternoon. She had a work emergency, unfortunately. Usually that doesn't happen. To be fair to Lorraine, she is a great sponsor of the program and has supported everything. So hopefully that goes well for her, and we'll see her at the next event. So that kind of marks the end of Journey to the Cloud Microsoft certification favorites. I suppose I'm going to ring us out with our intro video, and we'll close off the event. Thanks a million for everyone for joining us. Thank you to our audience, our participants. Thank you to everybody that sent in questions, queries, images, videos, anything that was sent in. So thank you to everyone, honestly, and we look forward to having everyone back at the next event.
Great,
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it.
There it
So
is.
that should go out. And I don't think that just finished. I'll have to share that again. That should be it. There we go. Now share that. So thanks a million to everyone for joining us on the Journey to the Cloud series. That marks the end of our event. And that's it. So that video should go out.
I don't see, it says the live event will continue in a moment on my end. I don't know what it says on your end.
Same. That is very, you should have control over it.
I can try to put the content back up and send it live on my side.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Yeah, I do. And that should be it then. So thank you for joining us on Journey to the Cloud, guys, and we'll see you again